Have you ever just stopped and really listened to the birds outside? That sound. It's pretty much the soundtrack to our mornings, right? But it's so much more than that. It's actually a vital sign of our planet's health. And, well, that soundtrack, it's starting to change. Yeah, we see them every day. But what if behind all that familiar fluttering and chirping, something big is happening? A quiet but really definite change is underway, and it's one that connects directly to us and the planet we all call home. So yeah, let's dive right in. All right, so to really get what's happening to our feathered friends, we've got to start with the big picture, the engine that's driving this whole thing. And at the heart of it all is global warming. Now look, this is way more than just, oh, the summers are getting hotter. It's a fundamental shift in the entire planet's average temperature, and it's driven by greenhouse gases. Think of it like a stone thrown into a pond. That warming sends ripples out across every single ecosystem. And birds? Well, their lives are so perfectly tuned to the seasons that they're basically the canaries in the coal mine for our planet. They're some of the very first to feel these effects. So what does this actually look like for the birds on the ground or, in the air? The impacts are huge, but we can break them down into three major ways their lives are being totally disrupted. First up, and this is a big one, migration. For thousands of years, birds have made these absolutely epic journeys across continents, all guided by this incredible internal clock. But what happens when the world they finally arrive in is completely out of sync with that ancient schedule? Okay, so think of it like this. For centuries, nature had this perfect rhythm, this perfect dance. The birds would time their travel plans perfectly. They'd arrive at their destination right when their main food source, all the juicy insects, was at its absolute peak. It was a buffet waiting for them. But now, because of warmer springs, that insect buffet is opening earlier. The birds, they're still on their old hardwired schedule, so they show up and the party's already over. This is what scientists call a timing mismatch, and it's a huge deal. It means less food for them, less energy to raise their chicks, and it makes it so much harder for the next generation to even get started. All right, the second big problem isn't about when birds are traveling, it's about where they can even live. Their homes are literally changing right under their feet. And this is a perfect example of a chain reaction. It's a real uphill battle. As the lowlands heat up, birds that are used to cooler weather have to move. They're forced to go further north or, literally, move up the side of a mountain, just trying to find a comfortable spot. But here's the catch. For the birds that already live at the top of the mountains, well, you can only go so high before you run out of mountain. They get pushed up and up until there's just nowhere left to go. It's a dead end. Okay, so let's look at our third point. And this one really hits them where it hurts. This disruption strikes right at the very beginning of a bird's life, in the nest. So what's happening is like a perfect storm of problems, all centered on the nest. You've got that food mismatch we talked about, so the chicks are going hungry. On top of that, the forests and landscapes are changing, which means there are fewer and fewer safe places to even build a nest. And then the knockout punch. We're seeing more extreme weather. We're talking intense heat waves, crazy rainstorms, powerful winds, all of which can literally just wipe a nest out, leaving the chicks with no chance. All these big picture problems can feel a little abstract. So let's zoom in. Let's put a face, or I guess a beak, to this silent change and talk about some specific birds. This is a great little snapshot of just how different these threats can be. You take the swallow, for instance. It's that classic, tragic timing mismatch. Then you've got the Lith's jay, this gorgeous bird from Japan, and it's losing the very specific trees it needs for food. Seabirds? Their nesting sites on the coasts are literally being washed away by rising sea levels and bigger storms. And even a top predator like the gray-faced buzzard is in trouble because its prey, things like frogs and insects, are becoming harder to find. Man, this quote, "The swallow arrives, but the feast is already over." That just says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the heartbreak of the situation. Imagine flying thousands and thousands of miles, this incredible, exhausting journey, only to get there and realize you've completely missed your chance to refuel and raise your family. It's just brutal. And get this, the changes are so deep, they're even affecting a bird's song. It's kind of wild, but some studies are showing that because of the rising temperatures, birds are actually starting to sing earlier in the day. They're even shifting their courtship timing. Their most fundamental behaviors are being rewired. It's just a powerful reminder of how deep this whole thing goes. Okay, I know. Hearing all of this, it can feel pretty overwhelming, right? But hey, understanding the problem is always the first step. So now let's pivot. Let's talk about shifting from just being aware of this to actually doing something about it. When you look at the way forward, it really boils down to a three-part plan. Step one is the big one. We have to reduce emissions on a global scale. Step two is about acting locally. We need to conserve the environments right in our own backyards. And step three underpins everything. We've got to keep learning and keep sharing what we know.
And this is the part where you can really make a difference because so much of this starts right at home. I'm talking simple stuff. Plant a tree that's native to your area. It provides food and shelter. Put out a little bird bath. Water is so important. You can support local conservation groups or just help clean up a park. And hey, if you like feeding birds, just make sure you're using the right food for the season. Even just practicing that leave no trace rule when you're out in nature. All of these small things add up to a huge help.
So, at the end of the day, why does all of this matter so much? Well, because birds are basically a barometer for the health of our entire planet. They're so sensitive to change that they act as one of our clearest, earliest warning signs. Their struggle isn't just about them. It's a warning signal for all of us. That sound, the song of a bird, it brings so much joy to our world, doesn't it? When we talk about protecting their future, what we're really talking about is protecting our own. So the final question isn't just what can be done, it's much more personal. It's where will you begin? Thanks for listening.